The People Playbook is for professional business owners and leaders who understand business rises and falls on people. You will hear practical, real-world conversations on clear leadership, smart hiring, and building strong teams. All formulas for retention. Get ready to hear your professional peers and industry experts as they discuss lessons learned and best practices. Get that journal out. You'll be taking lots of notes.
Welcome to the People Playbook, a show for and with business owners and leaders, where we take on the challenges we are all facing today and sharing out lessons learned. Today's conversation is all about the power of positive leadership and how the way we communicate vision can either lift people up, move them forward, or leave them standing still. My guest today, a very special friend of mine, is Sonny Melendrez. He is a beloved radio personality, motivational speaker, and a clear champion of positivity. Sonny and I are going to talk today about the 5 P's of positive leadership. Yes?
Absolutely. Good morning.
Good morning.
I should say good day, because we don't know when people are listening to this, but
that's true.
Great to be with you, Cora.
Oh, Sonny, it's an absolute pleasure to get to have this conversation with you. Now,
Pleasure's all mine.
Sonny, you have been around a little while, motivating, sharing as a personality, as an inspiration. Gosh, way back, you've been on the radio a long time.
Going on 5 decades.
5 decades. But you're only like in your early 40s, right?
That's exactly right. You know, my wife asked me, how old are you in your head? And I told her 35.
Ooh, I like that age.
So I'm sticking to that.
And Sonny, you've been around. You've been a TED Talker for TEDx San Antonio here. You've had the Sonny Melendrez radio show here in San Antonio. You are a public speaker and MC for many of the big events around San Antonio. And that a lot of people look to you as having positive influence both in our leadership and in our own lives. So I'm excited to share with our audience your 5 P's of leadership. And before we jump in, how did you come up with these 5 P's?
It actually happened quite by accident, Cora. A few years ago, I was reflecting back on all the blessings in my life and all the wonderful accomplishments that have happened through radio and television, et cetera. And I realized that there was a power that I was using that I didn't even realize that. I didn't even know that I was using it. It's a power that we all have, and it's the power of enthusiasm. And I came up with an idea that we are enthusiastic often because of something that happens and makes us enthusiastic. But we don't have to wait for anything if we are intentionally enthusiastic. So I labeled it intentional enthusiasm, and I realized that it had 3 pillars: belief, vision, and gratitude. Believe in yourself, have a clear vision of what you want to accomplish, and show your gratitude along the way by helping others get to where you are. And those things gave me that basis for intentional enthusiasm.
I love that. And, you know, that really feeds into the idea that spreading our vision isn't just about a process or a plan, but it is about our attitude and and the intention we bring to it. Because the energy we bring, our belief in it, our connection to it, would you say that sometimes that energy is, people catch on to it?
Absolutely. And, you know, I like to use the example of if you were on a pirate ship and you were the captain of the ship and you had the telescope and you knew where you were going. It was an island that you're headed toward. And with that telescope, you can actually see the island. And so you are giving out the commands on how to, you know, what they have to do with the sails to get there. But what if you could have everyone on the ship see the same vision through that telescope? And that's what we try to do through leadership, Because
Yeah.
when you get everybody on board, then they see what you're doing, and they have a tremendous amount of pride. You know, Walt Disney, when he built Disneyland, it was all nothing but orange orchards. And so these workers that were building the castle and everything else, they were just driving for miles and miles, and all they could see was orange trees. And he decided to have them build the castle first, so that 10, 15 miles before they got there, they could actually see the castle, and that pride would engulf them as they got there. And they saw that vision of what they were doing, and now felt like it was really something very special.
What a great story, and an absolute picturesque vision for us if everybody else could see what we see through that telescope. And leaders, Sonny, are often challenged. They have a vision. They believe in their vision. And it's
Right.
now their role to communicate that out so that everybody else can see the castle in the middle of the orange orchard. So walk us through your
Exactly.
5 Ps. Let's jump in. Let's hear about these 5
All right.
Ps.
These are the 5 Ps of intentional enthusiasm leadership. They are pride, priorities, practice, perseverance, and passion. The pride, I like to tell the story about actually something that I learned when I was the first male host on the Disney Channel, and we had training about the Walt Disney philosophy. And we were told this story about a concierge at one of the hotels. It was the Grand Floridian Hotel in Walt Disney World. And the young lady who was the concierge was checking out a couple and asked the wife, how did you enjoy your stay? And she said, everything was great until last night. She said, oh, what happened? He said, well, we went to the Kon-Tiki show, and I had a disposable camera. I took all these pictures, and then I lost the camera.
Oh.
And the young lady said, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, as soon as she said that, the concierge in her mind, because of the philosophy that was ingrained in her when she took that job, was already thinking, how can I make this right? And so at 6 o'clock, instead of going home, she went to the gift shop, bought a camera like the one the lady lost, went to the show, took pictures of the highlights,
Oh, wow.
had the pictures developed, and then sent them to the woman with a note, a personally handwritten note, hoping that she would maybe enjoy these pictures. Can you imagine
What a
what
great
this
story.
lady
Yeah.
must have thought of when she opened that envelope and saw these pictures and that personal note? Now, that was not in her job description. But when you can inspire your team members, you can inspire those that you lead to have that kind of an idea of inspiration. Now you can really, now you have everybody working towards a massive goal of positivity.
Yeah.
The second P is priorities. And Cora, I love this story about a college professor who had an early morning Monday class. And as the students came in, he said, all right, I want you to take out your notebooks, go to a blank page and draw a line right down the middle. And on the left side, I want you to write down all the things you hate about your life. And they looked at him kind of puzzled. He said, don't worry, nobody's going to see this but you. And on the right side, I want you to write down all the things you love about your life. I'll give you about 3 minutes, and go ahead and do it. So as he walked around the classroom, out of the corner of his eye, he could see that the students had a big, long list on the left side and a very short one on the right.
Of course.
He said, okay, put down your pens and get the number, count all the things you hate about your life, take that number and come up to my desk. Next to his desk, he had a big stack of burlap sacks and a big bin of potatoes. He said, grab a sack and put that many potatoes into the sack, and I want you to carry that with you from class to class.
Wow.
When anybody asks you what it's all about, you tell them. Well, this is about 8:30 and 9 o'clock in the morning. By noon, there were abandoned potato sacks all throughout the campus. these students were tired of carrying their negative energy and now free to put their focus on what they loved about their life.
What a
so the
great
next
story.
one,
yeah.
Thank you. The next one is practice.
Well, before we jump in, I have
Sure.
a couple questions.
Yeah, no, please.
Because I'm imagining this is great stuff, Sonny, and I'm imagining our listeners thinking, "Whoa, wait," and they're thinking, and so we want everybody to be proud of where we're going and having that energy around it, not like go do this, like, hey, this will be great. Look what this is going to look like. I love that, and then really prioritizing, and in a world where there's so much focus on negativity, I would imagine if a leader is able to stay focused on the positives, I'm just thinking of an organizational perspective. Instead of, here's all the things went wrong, gosh, look at all these great things we learned and how we're going to be better. Just that, are you proposing focusing on the good things can shift our whole energy and the weight we carry?
I am. And my mantra, and it's actually the title of my upcoming book, is what's the best that can happen?
Ooh.
In any situation, we always have an ability to gain something from it. And if we look toward what is right with the world, what is right with our situation, all of a sudden you have another power. And really, I look at our thoughts. I look at thoughts as real estate. And every morning when you wake up, you've got all this real estate and they're just vacant lots. And you can grow weeds there, or you can plant or build buildings. You can do all kinds of things on those vacant lots. And that's what you do with your positive thought.
I love that.
It's there for everybody.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that once you get it, once you start getting in the habit of having that mindset, it's almost, dare I say, like a drug.
Sure.
Because you can't get enough of it, and it also inspires others. You're able to translate and broadcast that wonderful idea, and then now you have people on your team
very
who
contagious
can see the vision.
Very contagious, a very different energy. We will be right back after a message from our sponsor.
Hiring is one of the most important decisions a business makes, and the resume only tells part of the story. Coach Cora helps organizations bring data insight to the hiring process through assessments that look at communication style, work preferences, and personal motivators. But we don't just hand you a report and wish you luck. Each assessment includes a consulting meeting to help you understand what the data means and how to use it in the interview. Because when you understand how a person communicates, what drives them, and how they prefer to work, you can ask better questions, make stronger decisions, and build better teams. Go to CoachCora.com for details.
We are with Sonny Melendrez. This is Coach Cora on the People Playbook here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. And we are talking about Sonny's 5 P's of intentionally positive leadership. I hope I got that right. And he just revealed to us that there's a book coming up. I can't wait. What is the best that can happen? We so often look at what's the worst that could happen in this situation. I love that. So Sonny left us off. We had heard about pride. We heard about priority. And now he's going to jump into practice. Is that correct, Sonny? Is that where we're at?
Correct.
All right.
Correct. As in practice what you preach and practice what you teach.
Ooh.
There was a little store called Buddy's Small Lots in Wayne, New Jersey. And it's kind of like Big Lots, only it's small. And so one morning, the pharmacist who had a drugstore next door, it was like 5 a.m. He noticed that all the lights were on in Buddy's Small Lots and the door was open. And so he calls Buddy and says, "Hey, I think you had a break-in." And Buddy says, "Oh, no, and my district manager's in town." All right. And so he goes and picks her up at the hotel. They come to the store, and the first thing they do, of course, is to look at the tape, the video of the closed circuit, and they are able to see that there were like 5 men walking around picking different things. And he says to the district manager, "Yeah, we had a break-in." And she says, "No, wait." He says, "Well, at one point there was one of the young men was actually holding an object up to the camera as if to say, look what I got, and there's nothing you can do about it. But that's what Buddy saw. What the district manager saw when they freeze framed the picture was that on the counter in front of the young man was the money that they were paying for what they had taken. And what he was saying is, look, I'm buying this, and the money was right on the counter. Well, this is a small town, and the word got out. It turns out that these men were actually members of the college football team, and their coach had asked them to pick up some things on the way into practice. The young man who was kind of the leader of the group was asked by one of the TV stations, what made you do the right thing? He said, well, my parents worked very hard to get me here, and I'm not about to disappoint them. Wow. And I think that that's what we teach when we show our children, show our team members what it is we feel about what is right and what is wrong. So when you inspire others to do the right thing, all of a sudden you now have a team that is in a different position to do all those right things.
And I love that. I love that, Sonny, because as leaders, really working towards lifting people up, developing in them, investing in them, versus always criticizing, humiliating, right? Leadership is about lifting up, and that recognizing I've invested with you. People really want to do them proud. So I love that, P. Okay, here we go. Next one.
All right. No, you're absolutely right, Cora. The next P is perseverance. In 1950 and 51, there was a swimmer, a professional swimmer named Florence May Chadwick, and she became the first woman to swim the English Channel both ways. And she lived in Southern California, and everybody lauded her. They said, "Oh, you can retire now." But there was one thing that she'd always wanted to do, even when she was a child. She wanted to be the first person to swim the Santa Catalina Channel from the Southern California shore to Santa Catalina, 26 miles across the sea, as that song goes. And on a really foggy morning, and I believe it was July of 1952, she entered the water. The sea was very choppy, and she started to swim. There were rowboats following her, and some of the rowboats had men with shotguns to scare away the sharks that would circle around as she swam. And her mother was inside one of the rowboats. And Cora, she swam for 14 hours. And her mother said, "Florence, you don't have to do this. You can quit." She says, "No, I want to keep going." She swam for another hour and then finally gave up. As they were pulling her onto the rowboat, the fog began to lift, and there, less than a mile, she could see the shore she was trying to reach. With that vision burned in her head, she trained for another month, came back, and not only made it across, but in shorter time than her failed attempt.
Wow.
It was that vision, she said, that gave her the impetus. And that's sometimes what it is we need, a vision. I also would encourage leaders and also anyone to write down what it is, even though you see it, even though you believe it, but write it down so that you actually have an affirmation. It's almost like a contract with yourself that is the goal. So perseverance is the fourth P.
And it sounds like I'm starting to hear a pattern here, Sonny. Like if we have pride in what we do, then we're going to make it a priority, and we're going to practice what we're preaching, and then we're going to persevere even through the challenges of our pursuit. So I'm tracking you here, Sonny. So now we have one more. Show us the last one.
All right. The final P is my favorite, Cora. It's passion. I did a morning show in San Antonio for many years, including one right there on KLUP. And when you're driving to the station, usually at 4 or 5 in the morning, you're trying to find some place to get some breakfast along the way. And here in Texas, we have this place called Taco Cabana. And by the way, this is not a commercial, just so you know. And I would stop at this Taco Cabana, and normally I would hear crackling sound. I could barely understand because of the speaker. When somebody answered, but to my order. But this time, I heard a voice that said, "Welcome to Taco Cabana. How may I serve you?" And I was really intrigued. I said, well, I gave my order. I thought they had recordings now. But that same voice then said, "Okay, I've got it for you. Come on up." And when I got there, this lovely lady, Cora, named Ruby, introduced herself. She put her hand inside my car. She says, "Hi, my name is Ruby. What is your name?" And she was so cordial. And I could see that she was putting the sweet and low in the coffee and stirring it. I was getting like 5-star service at a drive-through. Well, I couldn't wait to get on the radio to tell my listeners about Ruby. And I couldn't wait to get off the air to write a letter to the president of Taco Cabana about this wonderful woman. Well, as time went on, we would have these little 90-second conversations. And come to find out, Cora, that she was a single mom. She had recently been divorced. Her husband came home one day and said, "I don't want to be married anymore." It was as if she had the rug pulled out from under her. Now she was working in the middle of the night for minimum wage and thinking, how am I going to get my son to college? But Cora, that was not her attitude. Her attitude was one of intentional enthusiasm. And one morning, she taught me a lesson that I'll never forget. You know, when you're on the radio, we give away all kinds of prizes and CDs and money, and people are always asking you for it when they see you. But this time, I drove up, and she said, "Sonny, I was wondering, you wouldn't by any chance have any tickets for tonight's Spurs game, would you?" And I thought, if anybody deserved to ask, it was Ruby. And I said, "No, Ruby, I'm sorry, I don't." She said, "Well, I would like you to have mine. You see, I cannot go. I've been voted Employee of the Month. You're my best customer. I want you to have these tickets."
Oh, my gosh.
Unbelievable. Well, I will tell you that last I heard, Ruby is no longer working at a drive-through. She's actually now working for a major corporation. She's an office manager. And yes, her son did make it to college.
Wow.
Intentional enthusiasm.
I love that. I love that, Sonny. So I want to ask a question. I mean, you've really done a nice job of outlining the key ways to really have this intentional enthusiasm through having pride and prioritizing it and practicing what you teach and what you preach, having perseverance through the challenges and a real passion, right, for life, for what you're doing. I want you to speak a little bit real quick to our leaders. Some of them may be thinking right now, yeah, but the vision I have, we're going through some difficult times and it's not good, right? I'm thinking we had to do that in the pandemic. Some people are having to do RIFs. Some people are having to do significant shifts. So when it's not a popular happy vision, it's not a castle, how do we maintain that positivity and reframe things in a way that can help people engage in our vision?
Wow, great question. You know, my favorite quote outside of the Bible is a quote from a philosopher who lived in the first century, Philo of Alexandria. He said, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a great battle." And what I mean by that is that everyone has a story. You might even have a team member who's not performing, who may be negative. But if you know their story, now you can connect with them and possibly not only understand where they're coming from, and but for the grace of God, go you and I, and give them that encouragement, give them that mentorship. And I cannot say enough about mentorship. Because to me, the ladder of life is this. You are always in a position to have someone lift you up to where they are. And you're bound to find someone like that to be your mentor.
Oh, I love that.
With your other hand, you're able to pull up someone to where you are. and you become their mentor.
Thank you.
I've got a young man that I've been mentoring for 3 years, and I jokingly tell people, I said, he's now my mentor.
Well, thank you, Sonny. That was awesome. I want to thank you again. It's been such a pleasure, not only having you on the show and the conversation, but I'm so appreciative of you sharing out your 5 Ps with the audience. It means a lot. And I hope you can come back again. I would love to have you again. Thank you. And for our listeners, this has been Sonny Melendrez. You can find him on his website. His website is at his name. And this is Coach Cora on the People Playbook on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Please join us next Saturday for another stimulating conversation.
Thank you for listening to the People Playbook. For more information, Coach Cora can be found on LinkedIn and at CoachCora.com. Let's meet here next Saturday, 2 p.m. on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.